Welcome. I'm Linda Press Wolfe for Lewisboro Channel 20 LCTV. Today I have the pleasure of speaking with Lewisboro police officer Andrew Llewellyn about his new partner, Zane, a 15-month-old German Shepherd police dog comprising the town's first canine team. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
First, a little bit about Officer Llewellyn. Officer Llewellyn has been on the force for 6 years. As a dog lover, he was the perfect choice to spearhead a canine unit. Officer Llewellyn is a lifelong resident of the town of Lewisboro. His wife is also a lifelong resident, and he has 2 children, an 8-year-old son and a 5-year-old daughter. Now to turn our attention to Zane. Officer Llewellyn,
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about what police dogs are trained to do.
Well, there's many different things that police dogs can be trained to do. Our dog here, he's going to be trained, our first primary objective is for tracking. So whether it's a lost missing person, elderly patient, or someone that's missing from us, meaning a suspect, it's the same training that's used for that. So that was our first main purpose, was because of our open space here in town and some of the other dynamics that we have here, having his ability for tracking. The second thing that he's doing, which he's certified in now, is narcotics detection. So he's trained to detect all the prevalent narcotics that are in our area. Obviously, we know of what's going on with the heroin in town and whatnot. So that is mainly, those are his 2 purposes. There is other stuff that he will be trained in the future, but that's what we're working on right now.
Well, you answered my next question,
Oh,
which was
sorry.
going to be, what kind of work will Zane be trained to do with the police department? And you answered that so thoroughly and eloquently. So where does Zane live when he's off duty, and what does he like to do when he's off duty?
Zane is with me 24 hours a day. So when I'm at work, obviously he's here, and then he's home with me and my family. So he's not completely a pet. We have 2 other dogs at home that he is with and lives with, as well as my family that you mentioned before. His off-duty time, a lot of it is spent sleeping. He does not take a break when he's here at work. So he rides with me in the car. He doesn't lay in the back and sleep. He's paying attention to everything I'm doing, everywhere we're going. So by the time we get home, he's ready for a rest. He needs his exercise, so on our days off, he's still gonna think, here. He's gonna go and run, and he's gonna go out and chase his ball, which is his favorite reward. But that's most of his time. I mean, the rest of the time is obviously work.
And I see also when he's off duty, he likes a little bit of attention, and he's very friendly. Nice
Yes.
traits to have when he's off duty. So how are dogs trained for this line of work, and how long does it take?
How long it takes varies depending on the dog and obviously what type of training you're doing. Our training, we've been doing about 2-3 days a week. Depends on how much training we're going into. And really it does vary dog to dog. So I can't tell you exactly how long the training takes. What goes into the training, there's different methods depending on the trainer that you use. The reason, when we started looking into this, about 2 years now of talking about getting a police dog in town, and myself as well as Sergeant Alfano looked around at many of the different departments that we are in our area, New York, Connecticut, and looked at the different ways they've trained dogs and who they've gone through and programs and different academies that are available to us. The reason we went with the training group that I chose was just his method of training. My head trainer is very, very, very positive method of training. Not that the other ones aren't. It's all very happy. If you watch the dog work and watch my training, the dogs are always happy. They're always wagging their tails. It's always a very positive thing for them. But I was just very impressed with this particular group's training because everything is done because the dog wants to do it. Right. Everything the dog does, even down to his obedience, is because he's happy and he's excited, and it's what's fun for him, besides currently chewing on his leash.
Well, that's a desirable trait to have in a service animal like a police dog, that they want to work. They have the desire to work, and they're very happy when they're working. So what other qualities must a dog possess in order to be considered for police work?
Well, Zane himself came from a long bloodline of police dogs. There's, obviously with any dog, you have to worry about health defects, and then their drive. You know, they have to have the ability to want to work. They have to have the temperament to deal with what they're dealing with, and then also the job. Now, we chose Zane particularly because we know in this town, he's going to have to be able to work. He's going to have to be able to do his jobs that we discussed earlier, but half of his job is going to be this as well, where he's going to have to be able to deal with people around. He's going to have to go out and greet public and be a good representative for our department and our town. So to find a dog that has the ability to not just do his job and work, but also be able to do the public relations side of it and have the right temperament and drive, that's where choosing different types of dogs come in, and why we ended up with who we ended up with.
So I imagine that obedience is a very desirable trait to have, being able to follow instructions, and his public relations skills, which he does an excellent job. I had an opportunity to meet Zane at the Lewisboro Library Fair, and he was a terrific ambassador for the police department. So you talked a little bit about the training, and you selected a trainer who you felt did the best job in preparing Zane for guide work. Was that an agency or an individual?
It's a head trainer, but his company is Superior Canines, and they're out of New Milford, Connecticut. So our training currently is taking place in Newtown, Connecticut. So my training group is and we're working in Newtown, where we have a building to train at. But the head trainer is a longtime police officer, and many dogs trained under his belt.
That's quite a bit of experience in this field, and he's a very confident guy, Zane. Yeah, very friendly. Are all dogs suitable for police work?
Obviously not. Like we said before, they have to have the right temperament to be able to do the job, and the drive to do what we're training them to do. So, no, they're not, and that's why that's why we purchased a dog, and we purchased a dog that we know has the bloodline that's he has many, well, Zane himself has many relatives already working. I have, I think, 3 of his half siblings that I train with, that are a little bit older than him. So we know that through his heritage that he's going to be able to perform for us and do what he has to do.
Now, how long can a dog work as a police dog?
That varies on the dog itself. The average is anywhere from 8 to 10 years of work until they're ready to retire. And the dogs, they tell you when they're ready to retire. They know when they've had enough and it's time to take a break and, you know, sit at home on the couch instead of coming to work every day.
You can see it in their energy level, right, in their demeanor. Now, what will happen when Zane retires?
Zane will retire, well, we're not long ways off, but he'll stay with me. I mean, that's one of the common things, and one of the things we made sure we discussed prior was that he is the town's dog. He's the town's property. But I have the first right to him when he retires. And I mean, you build a bond with these dogs very quick. I couldn't think of, first of all, I can't think of him retiring because that's a long ways off, but I can never think of letting go of him when he does. Same here.
Now, as an ambassador for the town's canine unit, he's going to be interacting with residents. So can residents pet Zane, or can they play with him when they meet him?
Playing, no. The petting part is a very tough balance, because you have to think, for every time that he comes and has social interaction like he does now, except for he definitely knows that he's not working right now, every time he goes out and people pet him and he does a meet and greet type of thing, whether it's with a school or with the Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, on any other public relations event like the library fair, for every one instance where he does that, I have to do at least 10 where he doesn't get to, where people don't get to pet him. He has to walk through a crowd or past other dogs, because you just have to think of what he does when he's working. When he's working, he can't go and be tracking someone and be walking through someone's backyard and see another dog and be like, oh, it's time to play. Or going and doing some type of search with him, and it might be through a crowd, it might be through people that are bystanders that are there, and he can't expect that when he's working, everyone's gonna, oh, I get to go pet him, because then he's not gonna be doing his job. He's not gonna be paying attention to what he's doing.
So it's almost as if you have to recalibrate with him and get him to refocus on the job and out of that social frame of mind.
And he knows the differences. I mean, they're very, very, very smart dogs. And Zane definitely knows when we're working, when we're not. This interaction we're having right now is not how he normally acts. Mm-hmm. He knows right now this is a time to kind of play and let loose a little. Mm-hmm. But yeah, the common thing is no, he does not get pet. He's when we're out in public, he's not there to be greeted and pet. He's obviously, we want him seen. We want the public to interact with him as far as meeting him and all that. But the common practice is not to pet him. Obviously, if you ask and it's the right time and we're not working, then yes, he definitely is. He's greeted many, many residents in town already.
And so what has residents' reaction been to him, whether it's in a social setting, a public relations setting, or even when they've seen him on the job? What's been their reaction?
I think it's been very positive. I think the residents have been very happy to see this addition to the department, this addition to the town. Obviously, the support we've got has been overwhelming, which is why we are where we are. That's what created this canine unit, was the public support from our residents. So it's been very positive.
So what else would residents or our viewers really like to know, either about Officer Llewellyn or his canine companion, Zane?
Well, if residents don't already know, Zane was completely created by the generosity of our residents and friends of the department. All the funding that pays for everything from the purchase of Zane, all of his training, the vehicle that people have seen in town, the Tahoe that we have, which is set up just specifically for him, all the way down to his daily food, has all been paid for by the generosity of our residents. So there's no tax money going towards this program.
And there's an existing fund that has been established to continue to pay for his
Yes.
work, his additional training. So if viewers would like to help with support Zanes Future, how can they reach out, and if they'd like to even make a donation to the fund
Yes.
to support our canine
So
unit?
we've been fundraising for about 2 years now, and there's two ways which we've been receiving funds. One is through the PBA. We have a separate account within the Police Benevolent Association for the town of Lewisboro, which is the canine fund. So we've received checks under the PBA, but we ask that they note canine fund, so it goes specifically towards Zane and all of his training and equipment. And then we also have a GoFundMe that's been ongoing for quite some time now. He does have an Instagram, so he's very, very active on social media. It's Canine Zane, and he also has his own Facebook page.
It's such a worthy cause, and one that I hope our townsfolk will consider supporting. So I'd like to thank Officer Andrew Llewellyn and our police dog Zane for joining us today, and thank our viewers for watching Lewisboro Cable Television, Channel 20.
You're watching Lewisboro Community Television, Channel 20.